again, you know, and one of the key denominators in the speakers today, obviously it was George Washington Carver. All of those guys had an opportunity to graduate and play football here from the legendary Wallace Davis. And again, he was in the audience, and man, I tell you, you know, he got his kudos because everybody from Robert Williams to Tim to myself to Andre right now has spoken about how the impact that Wallace Davis had on our lives. And of course, it's just great to be able to see your old football coach. And he could come now and again take it all in, and really, you know, he can receive his flowers while he's here on this side.
Well, you know, DJ, and the other good thing, man, is you can't hear that enough from a coaching standpoint. And even not just his former players, I mean, even the impact and the influence that he had on me when he was at Hardaway. I mean, he came to Carver my senior year, and I probably would have been a quarterback if Coach Davis would have stayed at Hardaway. But either way, the thing that I like about Coach Davis is that it didn't matter what school you went to. I've seen this guy actually have 5 and 6 guys in the car to take them to a football camp, to be able to just, you know, give them better recommendations for scholarships. That's always been big with me with Coach Davis.
Always big, always big. We're going to have Coach with us here in just a little bit to talk about his reflections as he had the opportunity to sit in the audience and hear from some of his mentees, if you will. But the one thing about, you know, what you can't control, Dale, is you can't control the weather, and you can't control another individual. One thing is, you know, this great seminar, as wonderful as it is in its 4th year, you know, we came in with some expectations, but at the end of the day, certain things happen, and hey, man, you know what? You just got to keep rolling. The Stay Ready Foundation is what it is. It stays ready because so they don't have to get ready.
That's right.
And Tim is, as well as his family and, of course, all of his associates and friends, you know, you deal with these situations that come up. But I'm talking more importantly about, you know, here we had Dale McGee, the assistant head football coach at the University of Georgia, on the panel. He was slated to speak. Got a call not long ago, maybe earlier yesterday, from compliance from the SEC to say that we're in a quiet period or a silent period as far as recruiting. So what does that mean? That means that, you know, recruiters in colleges have to stay away from the high school recruits. And, okay, school is out, you say. Yeah, but they said, okay, but we don't even want you on a high school campus. So, hey, you know, when Big Brother SEC and the NCAA, you know, sends down their word, you know, that eliminated one of our speakers. And, of course, so Dale didn't come, and, of course, he sent his regards. But also, Brinson Buckner had a personal situation, and he couldn't come. But the bottom line is that, you know, regardless, we had enough in here, and of course with the 200+ people that were in the auditorium. It was a sensational day in my opinion.
Well, you know, DJ, the good thing about it, and we always say this anytime we do an event, is that everybody will be here that's supposed to be here.
Absolutely.
And I think really when you prepare, and one thing, you know, just from football, when you prepare very well, you can make an adjustment.
No doubt.
So we were able to make adjustments on the fly, regardless of how late it had been, that we had to make an adjustment. And really, still a great day. It doesn't take away from the day, though.
Yeah, no, it doesn't take away at all. But you know what? We'll have an opportunity to talk to Tim as well as Andre and Coach Davis and all the other dignitaries that are around to hang out with us today. But more importantly, Dale, congratulations to Zion Williamson. We don't even have to use his last name now. Zion. Okay. He's like LeBron or those one-name guys. But he is, of course, it was no secret. He was going to be taken as the #1 pick by the New Orleans Pelicans. And, of course, the best is yet to come.
The best, I mean, really, we've been marinating on this thing almost a month now. He's going to be officially a New Orleans Pelicans tonight at 7 o'clock after the draft starts. And I think really it's going to be one of the biggest drafts ever. I think there's going to be a lot of wheeling and dealing going on too, DJ, because again, that cloud is still festering over the NBA's head. They got a lot of big-time free agents, and I think some people are going to be wheeling and dealing with these #1s. And, you know, but really, I'm looking forward to seeing what your boys going to do, the Hawks going to do.
Yeah. You know, one thing about it, I had 3 picks in the first round, 3 picks in the second round, and I know that the general manager and a lot of the basketball administrative people were talking about packaging some of those draft picks, you know, to get some proven players again, because, you know, you don't want to, you know, they don't want to put all those rookies on the court. And so that's one of the things. And again, we'll see over the next few weeks how that works out. And I know that, you know, when you talk about the great, you know, the great young players that Trey Young as well as
right.
Jason Collins, those guys, man, I mean, that's a nucleus within itself. If they could somehow get, you know, a couple of more pieces,
that's right.
Then we can look for them competing for the playoffs.
But, you know, if they can get 2 players out of these 6 that they have, you know, I mean, we're talking about in the top 50.
That's right.
So if we can get 2 players that can play right now, DJ, maybe we get rid of 2 of those picks, you know, maybe get a upstart free agent, somebody else in free agency. But at the same time, I think they got a great opportunity to continue to develop. I look forward to them, regardless of what they do, DJ. I look forward to them being in the playoffs.
And of course, the draft is tonight, so lives will change. And I know that for everybody who knows that, obviously who the top pick, who the top three is. I know John Morant is everybody's going for him, but the Barrett kid, it's the toss up between whoever has that selection. But I tell you, Dale, we do have an opportunity right now. Just for a few minutes, Coach, if I could get, we were sitting here in the lobby of the auditorium at George Washington Carver, and of course, the head football coach walked by, and I got his kid a few minutes with him, and he's looked like he's at work doing his thing, but his kids are doing 7-on-7 now. But just wanted to ask Coach Corey Jonah, welcome to the Sportsvisons radio show, Coach. Wonderful, Coach. Obviously, we had an opportunity 2 weeks ago, or a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, to do the SCORE program. We had a 2-day workshop with your football team, and I tell you, I commend you, man. Your kids were into it. And again, those were some long days.
Oh yes, we had a 2-day workshop of restorative justice, trying to repair some relationships back with the community, allowing our kids to understand that the police is not here to harm you, but to help you. And that was a great thing for our kids. Our kids were talking about it on our way to Georgia and the places that we went last week, Kennesaw State and Auburn, and the experience that they had.
When you talk about a program like this, and obviously you're from right down the road, you have the same prestige and the same legacy and the same tradition at your former high school, but you get to a school like Carver High School, not only the SCORE program, but today when you have a Tim Walton coming in, of course, with his leadership seminar and bringing in, of course, other former Carver greats, that has to make you feel good.
It always makes you feel good to see guys come back and get back to their program, just to listen to the story about Mr. Robert Williams, talk about how you guys got prepared to play that Austin beat the #1 team in the nation. That was big. I wish I would have had the football team here to hear that, to prepare them for this year. We did a good job today. We had a 7-on-7 today, played the 6A team in Lee County, and did a tremendous job. And man, I'm from that area. I don't have parents text me and tell us how good the team performed today, and they're very surprised on what we're doing.
Well, Coach, go ahead and give us an update out there, because I know a lot of folks out there, they want to know, obviously, the season's going to start in a few weeks. And just tell us how, as far as the progression is going, the process. Where are you in the process?
Well, we got a new quarterback in DJ Riles. He's one of the most exciting 8th graders come in, and he had to wait his turn, behind Jalen, and that was a good thing for us. And Jalen is still within our program, helping DJ go through the lumps and bumps of being a new quarterback. But he did a tremendous job. We'll have a dual threat quarterback this year with my son just standing in the pocket trying to wing it all the time. We're going to have a guy that's going to put a little bit of pressure on the defense with running the football.
Well, Coach, one of the things I can tell from, last year that was your first year here at Carver, but at the same time, I could feel in your voice the confidence.
Yes, sir.
You're a whole lot more comfortable this year, and yes, I think really you got some great expectations, and really the sky's the limit. And I know from last year you spoke it, and you almost spoke it to existence. But this year, tell us what your expectations are.
I mean, we just expect to play good, hard and play good, play aggressive and play with speed, make teams play to our level and to our standard. And that's the one thing that we break it down on standard. We were on the standard here at Carver, because I look at it like this, man. When I came in, I don't want to let people like DJ Jones down. I'm serious, man. Yeah. I don't want to let these people down, because they take pride in their program and their school. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to get these guys to take back pride in their school and winning tradition here. And you talk to anybody that came to this, they always talk about the work ethic. And that was the big thing. You listen to everybody that came up there and talked today, at the program, they talked about the work ethic that Coach Wallace instilled in them, and is still moving in them today. And that's what we want to try to keep going on. That's a great tradition to have.
Coach, I'm going to change gears a little bit, because I know, every good coach, every leader, every CEO, every manager has good people, and you have a staff. I want you to give folks out there an idea of who your staff is and how you guys execute.
Okay, my office coordinator is my brother. My mom made me hire my brother. That's nothing right there. So my office coordinator, he's been offensive coordinator on the college level, and he's been doing a pretty good job with quarterbacks. He always had, when he was at Albany State, a Harlem Hill type. That's like the Heisman Trophy for D2 football. He always had someone to finish in the top 2. And then I have a defense coordinator who's also a math coach, so I got an analytical person on my side. It was always a good thing. I got my track coach, who's my defensive back coach, all of them coming from Albany. We had Johnny Gardner, who was already left over from the last regime, and we also have Coach Bird, that's here. And then we have a volunteer coach, which is Anthony Harvey, who's big in our community, so that's always a great thing.
You mentioned DJ Riles, and we've been watching this kid ever since middle school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, him making the adjustment, like you said, he's gonna be good at dual threat. But your son was a good quarterback, and your brother did a great job calling plays last year.
Yeah.
And I always told DJ, it's a difference in the offense playing
Yes,
again, you mentioned this, playing at a higher speed.
That's right.
And I think, what, or tell us, who are some of the players we got to watch for this year?
Hey,
We're
we
gonna
got
hear
a
about it.
three-star, four-star. I don't do the star thing. So we got a great receiver in Jakai's Cradle. I mean,
Stretch.
Yes, big stretch, man. Everybody, he's been getting a lot of D1 offers. We got a great receiver in him. We got some good complementary receivers. I think we're gonna be bigger at receiver than we were last year. I think we had a little bit more talent, but we're gonna be bigger. We got another 6'4" guy, and Richard Nelson is gonna rise to the top this year as well. Then you got DJ. Then you got that number 6 running back.
Yes, sir.
Kyrie,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
But then you can't leave out Lil Bullet. And then we got Cradle's brother, who is Jaden Cradle. He's getting some look at D1. He's 6'1", 205. He's gained over 20 pounds over the offseason. So, we look good. We look real good. Our offensive line stay intact. And if I can find me a defensive coordinator, but right now I'm not doing a good job. So if we get that going, we're gonna be real good.
It sounds like you're ready to play now.
Hey, I'm so excited. I'm just proud of the guys, man. The grueling schedule that we have had in the last 2 weeks, nobody's complaining, nobody's bickered, everybody's been participating. We woke up this morning, at 7 o'clock, left in Wheaton Lee County, made it here to the seminar. They're gonna meet me again at 6 o'clock to go 7-on-7 with Hardaway, man, and the kids don't complain about it. And so when those sandwiches came about, buddy, we
Yes.
ready.
The sandwiches the coach is talking about, of course, we had a lot of sandwiches that were box lunches actually for the seminar and some of the participants, but we had some overage, and I immediately talked to Coach Lindsay, Principal Lindsay, and asked him was the football team. I had seen Coach periodically during the day, but I didn't know if he had the football team here, but we were able to get in touch with him, and hey, man, those sandwiches are going to go to great use.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, I want to talk, because again, back in the day when Dale and I were actually playing ball, we didn't have all of these agencies that scouted and all this video equipment and high-tech digital stuff for recruiting. We had 8mm film, and we also had the word of the coaches, the opposing coaches. I want to ask you, because we got a football magazine that's going to come out here in a couple of months, actually less than 6 months, 6 weeks. Sportvisons, the magazine, but we always do, top player to watch. Who are some of the top players in the region that you want to share with us about?
Okay, I don't know too many of them by name, but you always got to account for Cairo. That's the standard to our region. Cairo, Georgia. If you go back in the day, Cairo was great back in the day, and they still carrying that same smash mouth potential. I'm always scared of the teams like Columbus High. They always sneak up on you with the speed and the spread offense. And then you always have that one team that falls, that everybody don't pay attention to, like a Hardaway or Northside. Those guys are solid in what they're doing. They got some great coaches over there. And our first game starts off with Harris County. And they got 2 Division I type speed over there at quarterback, and the guy Tyleek Williams, he's got a lot of offers. We got to watch out for those two guys, and you never can count out Spencer. Spencer can be 0-10, but when they play, Carver, they play like they're on 10 and OT. So we got to always watch out for that.
Coach, we're up against the break, but I do want to ask you, you got an outstanding deal going on here. You're trying to get the alumni back together. And you got a game, of course, the Carver Spencer game. It used to be the first game of the year, but now it's your second game.
Yes, sir.
Talk to everybody out there a little bit about what you're trying to do, and of course, this new legacy you're trying to create.
Man, when you look at any type of movie that's geared around football, they always talk about the community-based football team. And that's what we want to become. So we're trying to invite all alumni from every class. August 30th, we're going to have the game. Then we're going to have August 31st, after the game, we're going to have an old school pet rally here at 10 o'clock and cookout on the baseball field. And we're going to commemorate everything. We're going to commence everything on that Sunday. We'll have a church service right here on Carver, right here on the hill. So it's going to be a great weekend for our alumni to come back and be able to share with us and everything. We're looking forward to it. So check your Facebook pages, check it everything.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you. We're going to be keeping up with you this summer, man. I know it's going to be a hot one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. You're listening to WRCG 92.1. We are your hometown sports guy.
Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
All right. 15 now.
about that. Make sure we stay on the air, so I'm gonna head that way.
Okay.
Check on them. And then y'all are, I mean, it's been, knock on table, it's been pretty stable, so I'm gonna leave this fourth headset for y'all, and y'all just
Okay,
have at
keep
it. And I
going.
can remote in and fix stuff this time. I
Okay.
didn't do that when y'all went to Macon, but we're gonna set that up going forward.
Okay. Okay. And then you can always talk to us too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or just call me, but I'm just gonna go check on that with that storm. I don't want it to be
Okay.
causing a problem.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Yeah, just came on down.
Just going back to the studio, it's about the power, power service.
Ready, bro?
We can handle everything from the studio.
All right.
We're good for now. Okay. You still there, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Coach Wallace Davis joining us for this next segment. We also need to make or acknowledge the fact that CTVBeam is in the building. Of course, Channel 7,
That's right.
also on YouTube. Yeah. What YouTube? Just go to CTVBeam?
CTV7, you'll see it's on the front page.
Okay. Coach, we just gonna reflect on today's event, and you know, we need you to see these guys now and how they confess to you after so many years. They understand and appreciate what you've done. And you know, the same thing we eat lunch when we eat lunch here, brother. We talk. Tell you it was a good day, regardless of what didn't happen.
Enough people to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there are certain things, certain times that mustn't get like that. I remember when
We're gonna keep it 100 because you know this is, you know who's listening to this, and we don't want to do that. But AJ Bull, it was good to see him.
That was big.
Rich dude, man, very humble. How many million? 60 what? 65 million? 5 years?
65.
30 million I'm guaranteed. 25 years? Wait, 25?
Okay, that's the car, just roll it down,
Yeah.
bro. I
From
ride.
Tucker High School.
Yeah. I can do some driving too. I got get in the car and drive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's amazing what technology can do to go. Sit back here and broadcast this doggone show, and it's on the internet. It's all over the doggone world. You go to sportsvisionsradio.com. You can be in Taiwan. Pull it up. Hear us talking. Mhm. Yeah. We just got through talking to Corey Joyner. He's a football coach here. Yeah, he's doing the 7-on-7. Yeah, that was a good thing for them.
Yeah.
The extra sounds to go down to the
That'd
key.
be great.
Yeah.
Great. It will not be wasted.
No, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm working with some kids.
Kim was a good speaker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's smooth.
Don't put it on your head. Ain't gonna mess up your hair, man. Don't put it on top of your head. Yeah, just put it down. 1 minute ago. Yeah, put it like that. Yeah, adjust your mouthpiece. Yeah. Okay. You ready to get talk? Chris, we rolling live too? All right. Yes, indeed. We're broadcasting live from the George Washington Carver High School. Of course, this is the site of the 3rd annual Tim Walton Stay Ready Foundation Professional Growth and Development Seminar. And I have with us right now the legend himself, the living legend, Coach Wallace Davis. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. To have you and Dale.
All right, all right. Glad to have you here, man. Obviously, you came over to see one of your former players. Obviously, Tim was a quarterback for you and played some good football for you. And, Coach, you were able to get this young man into school. And not just any school, this guy went to the Ohio State. And when you talk about, and you can say what you want to, this is my humble opinion, you know, out of all of us that played here, there was some great talent and great student athletes. But I think that might have been one of the best jobs you've ever done, Coach, with regards to being able to get a kid into school based on not just his abilities or his size. You got his kid in school based on his character and based on a lot of good things that you can't see athletically.
That really does mean a lot. People don't realize it, but athletics carry a lot of weight in terms of getting in college, but you have to have some academic qualities, and, you know, and plus you have your personality got to be good. I'm impressed too that he had a follower, and I think the majority of our players that went to D1 school followed you, DJ. I think you opened the door for Carver High School that will forever be open. You know, to go to University of Georgia when a lot of black athletes were not having the opportunity to go there, and you made good of it. And from that point forward, we've been fortunate to get some of the better athletes ours to go to Ohio State, Wisconsin, Clemson, you name it, Alabama, because of character mixed with academics and athletic ability.
Well, you know, Coach, I was telling DJ earlier, one of the things I've always been impressed with you about, it didn't matter what school a player went through. I mean, really, when you were at Hardaway and the transition from most of the kids from Baker to Hardaway at that time, one thing I could truly say that you did everything, and you probably still could, if you wanted to, did everything possible to make sure that if a player wanted to go off to school, you did everything in your power to try to push that person to go there. You know, I might have ran a 4.65, but if I go to you, I ran a 4.35. Giving a person the opportunity, that was something that's big, and that's one of the things that I will always remember and love you for.
Well, some people don't look at 4.3s and 4.4s the way I look at them. You know, you may be a 4.3 guy, but ability-wise, you might be a 5 flat. And, you take some 4.6s, they can do what a 4.1 or 4.2 does. So, I mean, an athlete have other characteristics that stand them out over other athletes, and some coaches don't recognize that. But you and Daryl came along about the same time, and I think that you earned your keep also. It wasn't like somebody gave you something. You were determined to get to the University of Georgia. You had to go a different route, but you got there and you became a starter. So, I mean, in life, that is what makes good athletes. They themselves have to be determined that they're going to be whatever they're going to be. If they don't have it within themselves, naturally they're not going to be what they could be.
If you're just joining us, we have the living legend himself, Wallace Davis, head coach and athletic director a long time at George Washington Carver High School. And Coach, obviously, the legacy that you have left behind, obviously, you know, being one of the few coaches in the history of this school when you took over let's just do this for the folks out there, for the benefit of those listening. Talk about the history of this school and its athletic program.
Well, from the time that I started here as a head coach, football was not what everybody was watching of Carver High School. Basketball had some strong foothold. They had won a state championship in basketball. Football was just there because of the season that came along, and some of the players went out for football just to have an opportunity to play basketball. However, during my time here as a head football coach, it wasn't easy. I had to catch on or had to grab on to whatever athlete had or knew that I could put him in motion and start his future. And I hate to keep singling you out, but as a ninth grader, you were the first ninth grader that to me showed my first year. We both were freshmen. I was a freshman head coach, you were a freshman athlete. But you had something to me that you just don't find in everybody. You played on a team that out of the years you played, I think we won four or five games out of all those years. But that didn't let you not achieve what you wanted to achieve. You took the harassment, you took people talking about the fact that you had a sorry school and you can't do this, you can't do that. You took the abuse, but you were strong enough to know that you were good enough as an individual. You did all you could as an individual first. And I grant you, people followed you. They followed what you were trying to do, more so than me telling them. There were a lot of people that became outstanding because they followed what the plan that you made, not so much the school. And I remember a writer, sports writer, came to you and said that, why you at that school? You know, y'all losing, what have you? You said, winning is an individual thing. No matter what you say, I'm a winner. We might not win in football, but that doesn't stop me from having my winning attitude. And, you know, that meant a lot to me that you separated yourself from what people were saying in terms of you being a good athlete versus the school. And eventually, those young people that start following you, we start to get more and more to take on your attitude. Sometimes it's not always what the coach says. You have to watch what sometimes good players have a tendency to bring other good players in, and I think that is one thing that you did.
You know, Coach, I believe in my heart that you can coach today. I mean, right now, you can coach today. If you had the opportunity to be a head football coach and athletic director again, tell me the caliber of coaches you'll go after and what's important to your assistant coach.
Well, first of all, a head coach can't do it all by himself. Now, he can do a great deal of it, but he can't do it all. The first thing, a coach must be able to teach and know what he's teaching that is right to play the game. A lot of people get jobs in terms of head coach or coaching itself with the idea that the athletes do the work, but a coach is just like a math teacher. If a kid can't do long division, then if that teacher can't teach that kid how to do long division, they shouldn't be teaching math. Or if an English teacher can't teach a student the difference between I before E except after C as in receive and receipt, if they can't teach a kid that to know how to spell a word that deal with I and E and C and what have you, then they shouldn't be teaching English. Where you take a football coach, if a football coach can't teach a lineman how to get out and protect himself and block on offense, if he can't teach him how to protect himself on defense and make tackles and make plays, then they shouldn't be in that position. And I think that is what we're missing when we have teams that don't win. We don't have enough coaches that know how to teach players to be better. And as a result, you don't have good records. And I probably could coach, at least I can tell an athlete whether he's doing it right or wrong versus not telling him anything that he could gravitate off at all. So in that endeavor, I can. But 40 years is a long time. And if someone would have to come to me and make me an offer that I won't be under the stress, but to use my ability to tell what they're doing right versus what they're doing wrong, then that might be a thought.
If you're just joining us, we have with us, of course, Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer, and of course Lincoln Hall of Famer, Lincoln College Hall of Famer, Wallace Davis. Coach, we're up against the clock, but I want to ask you this question going into this break. You know, you've sent hundreds and hundreds of kids to school with a free education. You know, just by your word or your hand or your signature. What most excites you, or what are you most proud of? Out of all of these kids that some played, most of them played for you, but a lot of them didn't play for you. But getting the opportunity to have your word, your message, or your signature to fund a kid to go to college free.
Well, the biggest thing I get is, first of all, those that I did send to or had an opportunity to help get to major college or D2s or even D3s.
And historically black colleges as well.
That is correct. It's for them to be able, as the years pass by, to come back and tell me that I did the right thing. So many times kids leave and get scholarships, and I know they've even said how hard I was. But football is not an easy game. If you want to be good, you got to be tough. And that was one thing that, as a coach, I tried to make sure that our players were conditioned first. Secondly, they were fundamentally sound, and they were able to stay at a school long enough that they could come back and say, thank you for helping me get started in life.
Coach, you're going to be able to come back with us, right? We're going to take a short break. We'll come right back. All right. You're listening to WRCG 92.1. This is the Sportsvisions Radio Show.
And that's Jordan, you're not going.
Okay, so we'll come back how much? We got 4 minutes and we have to go to the top dollar? Oh, no, you, okay. Okay, we'll come back, we'll have, good 6, 7, 8 minutes. If we take another break.
You there yet? That's Nato, that looks just like Nato.
Just showed up.
No, they say, Nate, this is a beat down,
It
Nate.
looks like, come here, boy.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
yes, indeed. We're broadcasting live from George Washington Carver High School. Of course, this is the site of the 3rd annual Stay Ready, and of course, Tim Johnson put on Stay Ready Foundation's Professional Growth and Development Leadership Seminar. And Dale, I tell you, man, we had a heck of a day, man. A lot of good information. Again, we're not talking X's and O's, just talking life.
Great day, DJ, and like I said, key word has been today, relationships, and really, it's been great to see all the relationships and how everything is manifested into everything that everybody's doing now.
Coach, what's your take? We have with us Coach Wallace Davis, who obviously has been given a lot of credit today for the success of not only Tim, but Robert Williams, myself, and Andre Kennebrew. These are the people that are involved with this fantastic seminar. But Coach, at the end of the day, your takeaway from this type of forum, this type of leadership forum. I mean, it was initially started for coaches, but then Tim wanted to take it a step further and invite women and leaders of men and women, whether they be coaches, whether they are CEOs, VPs. We had a guy who was one of the wealthiest people in Columbus here, obviously, in Dr. Bob Wright. But your take on just these real life issues and these real life situations.
Well, first of all, you can talk to and tell anybody. A coach can try to tell an athlete what's best for him, or a person that is doing the telling need to tell the people that's going to receive how to make them better as an athlete. Coaches don't always give, like say this seminar, for instance, a coach might come here, but the information he take away, he might not even think that he needs to pass it on to his athlete. So with it being that the athlete himself can get first-hand information on how to be successful, then I think this is a real good approach to helping young people become better. The sooner you can find out you're learning by doing, the better you're going to become. And learning by doing is if a bunch of professional athletes come in and tell a young person, 12, 13, 14 years old, how to do this or that, then when they become old enough to get in a position to do this or that, they're going to be able to do it without any conflict.
Coach, you are a big-time track coach, and that's one of my regrets, I would say, and I've always said, is that I should have ran track in high school. And I think now speed is king right now in football and in the other sports. But just tell us how important speed really actually is when you're talking about football.
Well, Dale, I remember you being one of your coaches at Hardaway, and it was track at Hardaway at the time. There were so many other things that caught your eye, and it caught your coach's eye. Baseball was one that caught your eye. Track was what people at that time were doing when they couldn't play baseball or couldn't play basketball. So, but the key is track. If you're gonna play football, you got to get to a point quicker than your opponent. If you catch a pass, you got to get to the end zone before he does. If you're making a tackle, you got to make that tackle before the offensive man either can make a step or make a move to get yards. You got to be quick to make that tackle. So in every sport, basketball, baseball, hockey, or what have you, you definitely need speed. Speed is a thing that will make you win or lose.
Coach, this is the biggest misnomer that I see with speed, and I know you, like you just mentioned, in every sport, almost having speed is a part of your success, and of course the whole explosiveness, movement, quick twitch. But when you hear this philosophy, speed, you're not born with speed, or you're born with speed, you can't create speed. What do you say when you hear those kinds of statements?
Well, when I hear that you can't create speed, that I think you can. And it has been proven that if a young person come out and work on the right techniques and the right things to make them fast, then they're gonna increase. You're gonna move faster. And I will say the only thing that will handicap two people running against each other, a long-legged person versus a short-legged person, if those two people put their steps down at the same time, the person with the longest legs are going to beat the person with the short ones. That's natural. But if a person that has short legs versus a person with long legs, he's going to have to pick his feet up and get them down a lot faster to beat that person with a longer leg stride.
If you're just joining us, we have with us the Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer Wallace Davis, Coach Wallace Davis, that is. And of course, we're talking and chopping it up here, right here in the lobby of the George Washington Carver Auditorium. And again, right outside of that, on the inside, some speakers. Tim Walton, Stay Ready Foundation. Tim is the defensive back coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and giving back. He developed this seminar 3 years ago, initially for just coaches, but obviously knowing and needing it to be broadened and for women as well as all leaders of men and women. If you're in any type of leadership position, you know, some of the things that they have to say, or what the speakers have to say, that goes for, you know, that goes around the board, not just for football coaches, because in my mind, you know, a lot of the doggone, you know, the presidents and CEOs of the companies, they're coaches. They have to coach. They have to motivate people.
You know, DJ, one of the biggest things that we talked about, and we've been talking about it for 3 months now, is that we talked about the intangibles that we got from playing sports more so than anything, and that crosses over to the business world. And I mean, when you start talking about hard work, building relationships, I mean, really factoring into success, dealing with other people, I think that's one of the biggest things that we really have heard about today, and really it's all across the board. I think we had a very good, diverse crowd. I mean, I think this was the first year that we've had that many women to be here. And I think really that crossed over real big, because when you start talking about leadership position, I mean, it's more than just sports, the X's and the O's. It's about leading people, motivating people, and being an inspiration to everybody that you work with.
All right, Coach, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and pay some bills, man. I appreciate you. We love you. And, of course, keep mentoring and keep counseling, will you?
Well, I tell you what, I thank you and Dale both for allowing me to come in and talk. And, you know, I'm still here. And I don't feel offended when someone asks me the question, am I over the hill in terms of coaching?
Right.
You know, there always is something I can tell. And I'm going to leave with this message.
Okay.
I saw a basketball team use their speed to win an NBA championship.
That's right.
Their transition game, getting up and down the floor, moving quick and fast, that caused them to win. So speed is not only good in football and track, it's good in every sport you play.
Speed kills.
Coach, we appreciate you, man. We're going to keep it right here, Nick. We're not going to take a break, but Coach, we appreciate you. Go ahead and do all of your goodbyes, man, and we appreciate you. Of course, we'll be talking to you real soon.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Coach Wallace Davis, the living legend himself. And I tell you, man, what a joy it is to have Coach Davis still around to be able to. You know, that's my guy, man. I go to him. Obviously, my dad passed away a couple of years ago. But anybody, it's you know, it's as far as anything, advice, any issues that I have, and if I need another opinion, that's my guy, man.
He's gonna give it to you straight, no chases. So
absolutely.
That's been one of the biggest things over the years, and really,
You everything.
he will
You didn't
reach
do it in
out
pro
and
football,
stretch out
but you
to
did it
help
in pro business.
Say it again.
I mean, Coach Davis has always been the person to reach out and try to help everyone. We talk about relationships, and we talking about a 40-year relationship. He's still the same, looks the same, but really, when it comes down to speed, you got to go see Coach Davis.
No doubt, no doubt. And again,
I mean, Hall of Fame track coach.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, he's been the man.
And you're talking about a guy that knows Wallace, Coach Davis better than anybody, man. This is Coach Wallace Davis' first quarterback, Andre Killebrue, just fresh off the stage, of course, executive with Chick-fil-A Corporation. Great speech, man.
Thank you. It's from the heart, man. It's all about relationships.
You sound like you memorized that speech a little pretty good.
I don't know if I remember. I kind of lived it, to be honest with you.
There you go.
It's kind of lived it, and to be honest with you, it's true, man. And I think about all the people that in my life that have helped me. It's tremendous, man. Even going back to, like you said last time, we were on baseball.
Baseball, Little League baseball.
Back to that, man. Self Hollis.
Yeah. Self was on that same team too. That's right.
You know, a lot of folks out there have been listening to the promos of this seminar, and of course, Tim has been. We've been pounding it home, but you know, with regards to what you do, Andre, and I don't know if I've given you enough justice, but every potential owner-operator for the Chick-fil-A Corporation, you fly around the country and meet on behalf of the corporation to see if these people are qualified to do, to run and operate Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so think about it like this. We have over 60,000 people that want to be Chick-fil-A franchise operators. And we don't have like 100. And so we have to get through those 60,000 to 100. And so.
Is that per year?
Yeah, per year.
Wow.
And so that's just part of a team that does gets out, spends time going like, okay, can this person? They're great people. I mean, it's like being in the NFL. You know, everybody can play high school, college, like to make it to the next level. You really gotta have some special. And so what I'm basically doing is saying, hey, this is the guy who played the big time and played the big time for a long time. It's like a draft choice. I'm gonna draft you one. I want you to be on the line or wherever for 10, 12 years, solid years. That way I know that's how we do it.
You know, I want to go back a little I want to go back again, go back in time. Obviously, we just got through talking to Coach Davis, who obviously all of us love dearly, and of course, he was just a great mentor for us. But, you know, what did Coach Wallace Davis mean to you? Because you were his first quarterback here on his first football team back in 75, 76, here at George Washington Carver High School.
Yeah. Well, Coach Davis pulled all out of my gut. I mean, he tried to be I think if he really was to think about it, he'd tell you, he was trying to run me off. Say, hey, this kid, he's not serious about football, and he made me, you know, the adversity I had with him, it was great adversity, but it was very formative. It's been with Coach Davis in high school on team, you know, you'll be all right. I don't know that I've faced anything tougher.
I know we had you on a couple of weeks back. There's a lot of people listening right now that didn't get to hear you hear the interview. But, you know, why don't you talk about, because again, from Carver, you went to Davidson College, and of course that was what I consider an Ivy League school. But from graduating there, you have had a plethora of opportunities and careers and just an all-star lineup of jobs. Why don't you go through those for us, if you will?
Yeah. So here's the interesting part. I wanted to share this on stage and I'll tell my story. But my first flight ever plane flight was on my trip to Davidson. I'm 18, almost 18 years old, going on my first flight. And now I'm almost 1 million miles.
Wow. Wow.
That's incredible to me that, you know, 40 years of just a lot of traveling to each time. So what was so interesting about my career is in the world that I have lived in, most of the time you only live in one person.
Say that loud, man. I want to make sure they hear that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm always finding my wife, she's out even now today. You know, I find myself with the only black male.
Yes.
Usually, started at Davidson, sitting in the classroom. 65% of the students that were there, and was some kind of prep school. They had been prepared for college. They had been prepared. About 25, 30% of the team I played with at Davidson either became doctors or lawyers, went out to law school or to grad school or whatever. And so going to Kroger, I got there, and this was in the early 80s. I mean, they was just starting recruiting black managers. Even then, and then when I transitioned back east, you know, it was like, okay, I keep breaking into a league. I keep getting Jackie Robinson.
That's right.
Jackie Robinson.
That's right.
In the business world, it's kind of it's weird. And the good part of it is I've been able to build some bridges. Even I talked about Point University. I didn't tell all the stories, but just within the last 2 weeks, the first African American children of the trustee board, where the school is 75% African American.
Say that again.
Trustee board?
Yeah, again, you said something about the first African American.
African American board chairman.
You?
Trustee, yes.
Okay, I want you to say that because I mean you're saying it as in a matter of fact, but there's some people out there that you know that yeah. And I want you to say it one more time. You are
board chairman
You see how you say it? I mean, just like,
It's just laid back.
because again, people, they're on it, but I want to understand that this, this is special, man. This,
Yeah, it is special.
Yeah.
And so I think we have a board of and it's myself and another news rap. Some of the folks on our board.
heavy hitters.
But it's good. It's good to see that you can play on all platforms. And I think that's one good thing. I see Chick-fil-A doing it. I think it's becoming very diverse. I can see the food trucks coming. I can see them. You got more minority ownership of Chick-fil-A. I see them in New York City now and going out west. Everybody loves that chicken sandwich. Speak to the diversity that Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves the hospitality. Everybody loves the ice cream. But when it comes down to it, they have a great business model that seems to work anywhere.
It works really very well. And one of the great things that happened, I talked about was as we've gone through what we call this marketplace business. And so if you think about business, I kind of talked about a little bit in the 70s, 80s, we noticed we experienced in Columbus Square, everybody going to the mall. The mall was a business center. And then it became suburban, Walmart, Target, all that kind of places. So, and we know this, and there's no secret. I think even white people would tell you this. They were moving out of the city, into the suburbs. And so Chick-fil-A kind of said, okay, we'll go out there. We'll build these great complexes, but everybody's becoming urban.
Yeah,
And so the urban area is more diverse. So by natural business necessity, if you're not diverse, you won't be a business.
Well, I told DJ a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of going to hear Pastor Jamal Bryant. And the name of his sermon was Only Chick-fil-A Closed on Sunday.
Yeah.
And in that sermon, he basically said, you're third, number 3, fast food chain, behind the McDonald's, the Starbucks. But when it comes down to the money, they make more money than them. And they close on Sunday. And I think you all can make another $2 billion if you were open on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what they
And it's just amazing there because really, and you say the urban and, there are franchises were put in malls. I remember when Columbus Square Mall was, I would go to the mall just to get the ice cream.
There you go, the ice cream. Yeah.
That's right. I would go to in Greenbrier. My wife, parents stay over there in the Greenbrier area, and I would just go to the mall just to get the ice cream. So and the chicken sandwich, the chicken sandwich already came. It's awesome. So great business. But how does it? I mean, what is the future of chicken?
The future is really bright. We're excited. I mean, we'll be 12 billion hopefully this year, and hopefully we'll get to the goal is 20 billion by 2025. But the global workplace is where we're trying to go now. So we're opening our first restaurants in Toronto.
But check this out. Obviously, we got to go to a break at the top of the hour, but you're going to be here with us for another segment because we've got more questions for you. You're listening to WRCG 92.1. This is the Sports Visions radio show. We are. That's on TV right now. That's a cable TV station out of
Everybody on ESPN, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, but we here for a reason. We plan it. You gotta bloom where you planted, and obviously everybody can't make it to the NBA. Everybody can't make it to the NFL. But this is the little black boys and girls can see what we're doing and get them hope. Yes, sir.
You guys are fantastic.
Huh?
So you guys are fantastic.
Thank you. Oh yeah, Chris is. And we're back. We're broadcasting live from the George Washington Carver High School Auditorium. Andre Kennebrew, one of the featured speakers here, of course, an executive of Chick-fil-A, and of course, just had an outstanding career before this great job. And Andre, your takeaway from today, being able to share with the leadership in this community, because we expanded the room to be, of course, male and female. Of course, you have CEOs and directors, managers, not just coaches. But your takeaway as you saw.
Yeah, because I think about the last few questions people asked, their leadership. John Maxwell said one time, you got to do it without the leadership. You think about the quarterback, he's really not the coach, but he assumes leadership because of his leadership skills or whatever. And so everybody wants to lead that. And that group that I heard today were people who want to lead that and have more impact. There was partial questions about that, very specific things that people want to address in South Georgia, which are very important. And I hope people get behind it. When a person stands up to lead, we got to start home. We don't have to be the leader. We don't have to stand by and let people do things that they're not watch. What you guys are doing is so great, and so people are saying, okay, my son might want to be in broadcast. So how do I get behind that? My son wants to be involved. How do I get involved? And so it's this whole idea of supporting one another and helping people. I had a video of actually pulling somebody up. And I applaud you guys for doing that because I think it's exactly what you do. You guys have had freedom, you got better things to do than stand on the mountain. Come on up here with me. We just need to.
Andre, oftentimes I hear about, it's not about how smart you are, but I mean, you have all of these other qualities. Again, a lot of the leaders that are, they might not have the best GPA, but if they're, they might be the captain of the football team, captain of the cheerleaders, or might be the head majorette, but, they're well-rounded as opposed to having, so much, I guess, intelligence, so high, such high of an IQ.
Yeah. And you said it in that, being more successful people are people with high IQ. So your emotional intelligence is high. You have more influence and you make more money. And it's like 3 times as much money.
Say that again.
So think about
Say that again, Andre.
3 times as much money. If you have a high EQ versus a high IQ, it makes it high IQ. So think about the people that you go like, okay, let me go back to school. Let me look at the grades. You won't be amazed. They're sitting down and they're doing, the ones who have the A's, they're sitting down doing individual contributor jobs. They can program, they can do all that, but they're contributing in that level as an individual. Whereas somebody that has EQ is leading organizations because they have people performing and they're getting things done. So people with high EQ become leaders, and people with high IQ become individual contributors. And that's hard for people to understand because they go like, why aren't I leading? And they really should be leading because they so many companies have people who do a great job and they have great grades. And when they become leaders, they can't take over.
Over the years and the way that you and your late brother were groomed and your brother, when you look back on your childhood and all the way through college, can you see where you were being developed to be a leader?
Absolutely. I look back on it now. Even like we talked about baseball. It's being all those people. And see, I mean, you guys were leaders early. You can look back on my life and be like, oh, I still remember this. My wife, when I saw the greatness thing, I'm not talking about it. I'm just talking about the greatness. Team, boy! It was like, I mean, it's like, I never seen execute the way y'all execute. I mean, you can even see it then. And that's, you gotta look back. You gotta go back, because if you don't go back, you won't see it.
I know you and they get swole.
Yes.
Nobody else. Thanks to what he done. That's what Martin Luther King said, the pastor of the church. What he said, society, you see things going on, and encourage like people step up and go like,
And that's something that we were groomed to do from little boys on, but one of the biggest things I think that ignites leadership is that you gotta want to do. You know, I mean, EJ was an example. EJ was up there called when it weren't winning and stuff. EJ was groomed to win, so it didn't matter where he was, he still was going to win. All those things were establishing. Even the point where when we were playing Little League baseball and we had Jim, we had a handicapped guy coaching us.
Yes.
Coaching us.
Right.
And just to see the struggle that he had to go with and hitting batting practice with us, was dragging the bag. I mean, I think about that a lot today because he really wanted to do it.
but it was, and again, it was our group of guys. I mean, Orioles were not known to be good, but when that group of guys came together, right? I mean, we turned that thing around. We didn't win it all, but we were there. You know,
He was a good coach.
If you just joined us, Andre Kennebrew is in the building. Of course, he is an executive with Chick-fil-A, and he does some wonderful things on behalf of the company. And Andre, first and foremost, I just want to thank Chick-fil-A for you and Chick-fil-A for the lunches today. I mean, obviously, all of our people, all the participants in the seminar got a chance to have a wonderful hot lunch. We got a great Chick-fil-A sandwich, and again, with the cookie and the chips, man, great job as always.
well, thank you, man. That's another value of Chick-fil-A generosity. Dan says all the time, to whom much is given, much is required. And you know, there's one thing that people don't even understand about Chick-fil-A is how much we're involved, even outside of our communities. I think I mentioned to this on the last show. I've been on 3 mission trips outside of this country and to some of the poorest parts of the world. And Chick-fil-A sponsors some of that and some other things. I mean, they are really, really about trying to change the world and change people's situation. And not always through money, a lot of times through influence. And so they prepare us as leaders to go out to be influencers in our communities.
Andre, you travel around the country, you know, on behalf of the Chick-fil-A Corporation. And do you, in your travels, do you feel a sense of difference in cultures when you go up north versus out west or the Midwest? I mean,
Yeah.
talk to that. Talk to us. Speak to that.
Culture is so important, and it's not geographic. It really always comes back to that. One of the things, you know, that's a challenge I think for Columbus, and hopefully everybody from Columbus will hear me on this one, is the way we think. There is such thing as a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says things have to be this way, they've always been this way, things aren't going to change. The growth mindset says we can change it. And there are people, that's why you got the show. If you had a fixed mindset,
Right.
there's no way you would do the show.
That's right.
And so we need more people in Columbus to have more of a growth mindset. I go in certain places where I go like, wow, I see things happening. And Tim will tell you the same thing in some of the places where people go like, and he talked about a lot of mindset, where there's people that go in that says this can be different. And it starts with the thinking, then it gets in the heart, and it gets in the hands. And so that would be the biggest cultural difference I see. It's the prayer that I have for Columbus, that people will have more of a growth mindset than a fixed mindset. And I think it was fixed that way on purpose in the 60s and 70s. As you even think about the fact that people were holding Columbus from growing.
Yes.
And so in keeping Columbus tight and keeping outsiders out, created that fixed mindset that needs to change, because this is a great city, man. I mean, it's a great city. It has so much potential. But it has to have a growth mindset to keep people who want to be here because they see that people are growing. People would live in Columbus if they felt like things were growing.
You made a statement earlier about being the only African American in the room, in many of the rooms, starting back from the days at Davidson, and of course up through your corporate career. However, Dale and I experienced that as well. You know, covering the SEC. You know, we're the only a lot of times the only minority owners of shows in the press box. You know, again, you talk about a press box, whether it's a SEC championship game, or Georgia game, or Auburn game, you know, a national championship game. You're talking about 200 or 300 reporters in some cases, and less than 2% black, and again 0% that actually own their own station. They're usually working for one of the networks, and again, but we see that, and we were groomed to handle it, and you know what, we do our job. We're professional. We have the favor of God with us. So, and it's nothing you can conquer, or you can't conquer with those.
Keep asking for your press passes.
That's right.
Keep asking for press passes.
Yes.
And my prayer for you guys would be that, and if you didn't hear my talk, there's a guy named Clarence Avant. Clarence Avant is known as the Black Godfather, and music, politics, business, whatever. And he was one of those guys that helped people move forward. He was the guy that would meet a couple of guys like you and go, these guys are great, and I want to take them to the next level. And so I pray for you to have that guy who comes up like a plan and says, I want to take these guys to the next level. So they're being regional, they're going to be, whatever, and then national. And so that's my prayer for you guys, because there's somebody out there that's going to hear your broadcast, going to see you at some point and go like, we've got to give you a big audience.
We had an opportunity to talk to you about a month ago, and you mentioned something that really kind of stuck with. It's not about the cash for Chick-fil-A. We were talking about ownership. It's about the cash.
That's right. It's all about the character. Again, character is number one. We do not select anybody that have character. You got to do what you say you're going to do. You got to be able to protect our brand. And so you guys have a brand. And even if you think about who you're going to let touch Sportvisons, you're like very careful.
That's right.
And the quickest way to let somebody to damage Sportvisons is somebody with no character, be a part of it, to do something that represents y'all's name out there to ruin your business. And so character is important. You cannot let a person ruin your brand. And so that's how we are at Chick-fil-A. We're very protective, and you have to be careful about that. And so selection becomes a really big part of what we do.
Andre, I want to ask you one more question, and I'm going to let you obviously chop it up because everybody's starting to leave, and I know that you want to say some goodbyes. But as you move forward with your career, you've accomplished so much. And what else is left out there for you?
Well, I'll be 60 in March, and I'm already starting to think about my transition. And the transition I want to make is I call it being a 2 Timothy 1 and 2 person. And Paul wrote his last book, and Paul said that he was looking for faithful men and women that he could teach, who would teach others. And so I want to be very intentional about the next 10 years of my life of finding young people that I can pour into, that can take some of the things that I've had a chance to learn and take it and teach it and support them, whether it be an individual who needs to go to college, whether it be a business that's trying to have more influence or no. That's one of the reasons why I took the position at Point. Point is that there's a Christian college that teaches biblical values, but we're also trying to help people learn practical skills and things that they can take. And so I want to be about that next generation. And so I need to get some time back, so I'm trying to figure out how I do that. I'm just bold enough to go ask folks, hey, can y'all create a job like that for me at Chick-fil-A, where I can go do that. And I can go out and say, hey, I found somebody that we really need to invest in, and can we invest in them? And so that would be my ideal situation, and what I'm praying for is I'd be a person who go out and find people that I can get people to invest in.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Andre Kennebrew. Hey, we're going to take a break. Hey, we appreciate you coming down, man.
Thank y'all, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank y'all for having me.
We got to stay in touch. Got to,
man. Got to.
All right, you're listening to WRCG 92.1. We are your hometown sports guys. Cool.
All right, man.
Yeah. Doing this out
put these on?
150, yeah, that's your height. That's the only way you can hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gonna leave one day?
Yeah, I don't know how to do all this, man. Oh, yeah. What I think of.
Bill, get a picture of me, brother. Bill, take a picture of Nate. Go over that way and take him back. It's all up there.
Say everybody say chief.
All right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
See through.
That's two of them right there on the mouth.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Nathaniel,
What's up, my brother?
welcome to Columbus. Welcome home, baby boy.
Yes, sir.
You gonna be Chris?
I ain't think we're gonna make it. We're gonna make 5 minutes and we're gonna switch out. So stay here. Stay here. Ratley.
How you doing, son?
Good, son. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure. You rode down by yourself?
Yeah.
Nick, what we looking like, buddy? Live from the George Washington Carver High School Auditorium, 3100 8th Street, Dale on the Hill. That's right. A lot of folks came up. Of course, the 3rd annual Tim Walton Stay Ready Foundation Professional Growth, Development, and Leadership Seminar. And I tell you, Dale, what a star-studded occasion it was. Saw some high-powered, some highfalutin folks in the city came out to, of course, support and take in this seminar.
And you said the key word that was taken in and making sure everybody enjoyed it or really it wasn't about the X's and O's, it was basically all the intangible work ethic and the key word relationships and
Speaking of glitz and glamour, one of the most decorated athletes, of course, to have left George Washington Carver High School, of course, went on to an illustrious career at the University of Wisconsin, and of course, just a historic, iconic career in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills. Nate Odom is in the building. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for having me.
And it's always a pleasure, Nate. Obviously, you know, you don't get it home much, but at the same time, it was great that you were able to work it out when you got home for Tim's seminar. You know, I know you got to see a lot of folks that you know, but everybody shows you love when you come in, because you are beloved in this town.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you know, coming to Columbus, and seeing people make your spirit good. I know that.
Nate, you know, I know you had a chance to speak to Tim, and obviously you have to admire him, because I made a statement when we opened up this program. You know, it's one thing to make it in the league, and it's tough. It's tough. God knows it's tough to make it as a player, but to actually be a coach, the numbers go down even less. You got 53 players on the roster, but it's only 12, 14 coaches in all 32 teams. That's one of the top jobs in the world.
Yeah, it is. Well, first of all, to be a coach now with the climate, it says a lot of good things about you. High quality, high character person. So to be in that position that he's in is a very good and unique situation. I'm like everybody else from Columbus, and we're very extremely proud of him and what he's done as a coach and what he will continue to do as an NFL coach.
You know, I got to, you know, while we got you here, Nate, I got to talk some NFL football. And I know we brought about another couple of weeks, DJ, official football season.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're looking forward to this year in the NFL.
Well, mainly, back when we were playing, you didn't have a camera on the outside every play. Now they will have a camera on the outside every play because they're looking for penalties. Okay, but once again, I said this quite a bit. My thing is with opinion call from the referee is to have yourself the high quality, high character person. So the PG call will pretty much, for the most, land my way. So I think that's very important for our young men to understand, especially when you go to the professional, you're an executive. So all that fussing and cussing and all that passion, it has to be directed the right way, be very professional. So hopefully I got to be that.
What team or what player are you really looking forward to see play?
Well, I really don't look at it a lot, but I just like to see good football when I see it. And then for me, not only your physical talent, but I want to see what's in your head. Labeling as a jump jocks for so long, I think as a young man or a female, you have to go out and try to prove that wrong by how you conduct yourself and your comprehension of the information. So I just look for, as a 57-year-old man, I look for the good things out of folks. I enjoy it.
Former All-Pro, NFL All-Pro Nate Odoms is in the building. Of course, Nate, we had a little earlier one of Tim's players, defensive back A.J. Bowie, who just recently signed a $65 million 5-year deal. And of course, $30 million of his guaranteed. The money is astronomical. But Nate, this young man drove down. He went to Tucker High School in Atlanta, but he drove down today on a day that he didn't have to. But because of his relationship with his defensive back coach, Tim Walton, he came down and shared a moment, a testimony on stage that was like no other. Obviously, how important was it for you to have a great relationship with your defensive coach, your defensive back coach back in the day?
Well, it's very important. Actually, every season, off-season, midways, through actually go to see my coach and sit down. The first question I would always ask him is, what did you like, what did you didn't like? So with that being said, my relationship with my defensive back coach was very good. My last time, in my opinion, being coach was when I was here at high school. College and pro, once again, executive, where the heck, what is the definition of executive? It's not being a knucklehead. So, you pretty much have to fellowship with everybody in order to make everything good for you.
Switching sports a little bit, because I know that you are huge Atlanta Braves fans. You got to be ecstatic for these, because the future of the Braves looks very, very bright.
Yeah, it do. As you know, we haven't even got to the All-Star break yet, so it's a stretch right now. They're winning. You never know when the wheels will fall off. I think that this team will start to define itself at the All-Star break.
Last but not least, Nate, I know you walked into this building. I don't know how many times you've been here. This Carver High School, as we have it now, is a $45 million institution. Not this old school on the hill that we grew up with. What's your take on this state-of-the-art school?
Well, actually, this is my first time here. It's a very, very nice building. Start their life. It's a marathon. This is a place to start, and it's a good building to start in. Very happy, very satisfied with it.
Well, Nate, we certainly appreciate you, big guy, and you know what? We're going to catch up with you in a little bit.
A little bit, baby.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take another short break. You're listening to WRCG 92.1. This is the Sportsvisons Radio Show.
The next year we'll be able to get 400 folks in there.
Yeah, easy. We got a home base.
But they starting to get, yeah, we got a base and we starting to, and the message I think will spread
Right.
after this year. And it helped with AJ, Bob Wright, and Bruce, you know.
How far a drive it is, Tim, here to Jacksonville?
About 4 hours and 15 minutes.
We got to go to a game, this is.
Oh, no question. 4 hours, 15 minutes. And it's an easy ride. 82, 75 to 10. Once you hit 10, you 60 miles away.
You go through Tifton.
You go right through Tifton.
82.
Yeah, 82 right through.
What's going on, buddy? Nicholas. I didn't know you. Cool. Well, how we sounding, Nick? How's it sounding? Okay, cool. It's all because of you. Yes, we're broadcasting live from the George Washington Carver Tigers Auditorium. We're in the lobby, and of course, the man of the hour, and he is, I'll tell you what, he's ecstatic. Your feet are off the ground, Tim. A great day, great seminar, man.
DJ, thanks, man. It was outstanding, man. It was a great event. Glad that people came out. We're going to try to even expand on it next year. But I'm pleased. I'm trying to get a good message across the community.
Look, just like a coach. You know, he just had a good victory. He's already talking about next year.
That's right.
We're not going to even celebrate this victory.
That's right. That was up in the can. You know, really, but great job for the day. That was really the biggest thing that kept on up in relationship. I mean, from your relationship, Andre's talking about his relationship, him being able to play for him. Again, to the people that weren't here, talk a little bit about some sort of relationship and networking.
Your network determines your network. Network determines your network. It has opened the door for me, period. Like I said, I gave the example. The guy that sat in my home as 11th and 12th grader was the guy that gave me my first job to jumpstart my career that has led to a 23, 24-year career in the college and NFL career. And it started with a guy that I met in 1988. And then a guy that tried to hire me in 2004, and Tom Kaufman, and I stayed in contact with him, was the same guy that hired me in 2015 and came back and hired me in 2015. So those things are all the time. So, you know, and I can go on about the relationships that I have formed that have helped me in the career-wise or just in general, you know, mentorship stuff. You know, so it's the number one thing you have to do. People hire and deal with people who they feel comfortable with and close with.
Tim, we're here in the lobby just outside of the facility, the auditorium where you had your seminar. You still got people hanging out. You obviously they feel comfortable. They're just like family. They had a wonderful time. They don't even want to go home, man. That's how much you impacted them today.
Well, I'm glad they had an impact on it. It's about relationships with them, man. So like I said, some of the people that came out, I went to high school with, people that knew me from the community, and you don't get to see them much, man. So it's a good shared experience to be able to fellowship and talk about things in life, man, and just see one another and see how people are doing. So that's a positive effect on it. And some of us will try to get together tonight and talk a little bit more and continue this conversation about that and to see how each other's doing. You know, how you doing in your life, so we can get to know each other even better. Because guess what? You're sitting in the room right now with somebody that may help you at the next business adventure or the other thing that may help you in your personal relationship some kind of way.
One thing that I really admired about it is that, you know, again, we obviously knew that you weren't going to talk X's and O's and all that good stuff about the sport. You talked life, real stuff. Financial literacy. I mean, that was huge, Tim. You went there, and I mean, you know, not many coaches that I know of that could actually go, because not only can you go there, you live this.
Yeah, I lived it, and the thing is, people don't like to talk about it. And guess what happens when you don't talk about it? You stay in the same rut and you never grow and improve in it. So instead of, and I tell, like I was talking last night, It's nothing wrong with making a mistake and not being on the right track, but let it be a 2-year problem, not a 20-year problem.
Yes.
But if you never discuss it, if you never bring it to the forefront, so my deal is to ease up and I'm gonna bring it to the forefront. I'm gonna make you talk about the things because guess what? Because the financial literacy part is really not just about the money. When you don't have the finances in order, it leads to stress, it leads to depression, it leads to anger, it leads to outbursts, it leads to other things, and then now it creates other things, the other debts that take away from things that are important to you. And then when you're not living in your purpose, you're not living in your passion, and you can't do the things that are important to you, you do what? You go down the wrong path. So it's a bigger picture than just money. It's the options that the money create for your life, and it gets you a chance to invest and pour your heart in the things that are important to you, even if it's just a charity or a group or event that's important to you in your life that you want to sponsor or lead or be associated with. It's a lot of things going on. That's the main thing. And it's not for the material things of being there, but it's to lay down at night and to be at peace.
You know, you just took it to another level as far as I'm concerned. You know, obviously I know you're a great coach, but obviously the benefit of a professional athlete, a young, wealthy professional athlete with a coach like you to help him, not just on the field, off the field. There's not enough of those. Do you see your colleagues, or many of your colleagues, as active or as interested as you?
Well, they don't, not really. You know, I mean, they don't talk about it as much. You know, I know my passion and my purpose, and it started with the helping and development of young men. You know what I mean? So, and then of people. So, you want to see people in your circle, in your community, win. And if you see things not going the way it should, you need to bring it to the forefront and help. And guess what? Because I see what happens when it doesn't. You know what I mean? And I try to inspire people to do the same, to have that dialogue about it, because it just brings joy to life to you, man. You know what I mean? But you need to go through the time of learning it. And so my job is to help educate. And guess what? It's free. It's free. Because guess what? Most people, when you go see some of the speakers that I had to go see, Dave Ramsey, you got to pay for the seminar. Now I'm just giving you the same. Because guess what? You need the base. You need the foundation. So when you can get it for free, and if once the crowd keep going, we're going to continue to change it. Andre Kennedy, great speaker today, great information, great knowledge. You know what I mean? A guy that many people need to hear him and get in his ear and get information from him. Because guess what? He's world traveled. He's renowned. He knows a lot of people. He's very connected. He has his stuff together. You know what I mean? So, and guess what? Right down the road, Joe's going to give you this information. You know, because guys like that speak for charges of $2,500, $3,000, $5,000 to get those speeches that you got free. That's what people don't understand now. I mean, the speeches that I do, they pay us to do these speeches at other places. You know what I mean? So when you get this for free, I think the community will encourage you to embrace it and come out more. And it helps, and it's all beneficial information. You know, and you heard different guys talk about the power relationship.
You know, one thing is for sure, we started this thing 3 years ago. We started at Columbus State. It was about a little over 100. Last year we were at Culinary School of the Arts. It was about 130-ish. Well over 200 people here today. And obviously, I think that with this being a benchmark, this being home of your seminar, moving forward, I think once people get connected, obviously after the all-star, star-studded celebrities that were in the room, Dr. Bob Rice, of course, Vivian Craig's of the world, Mark Johnson, those are some strong people in this community. When they get it, go back and tell all of their people, you know what, that room will be filled next year.
Yeah, that's the thing that was exciting and powerful about this fact. We get a chance to have a lot of powerful and important people in the room that spread the message and get the word out. And so with that being said, we can continue to grow and the message can spread and we can affect the community in the right way.
Well, one of the biggest things that jumped out and I told DJ was that the diverse audience. You have more women this time than any time, and I think really when you start talking about personal development, motivational speaking, financial literacy, I think really open up a door for people that really don't get into the X's and O's of football, actually just want to hear a good message or get some nuggets for life. Speak to the fact that even though it's a great business, what do you think about doing for next year?
Well, like I said, that's what a coach does. Now, see, the thing I'm talking about now, Now, we talked about relationship. So now, I'm going to catapult this one on your personal relationship, your marriage, your relationship with your kids. How is your relationship with your kids? How is your relationship with your spouse? The people you associate with, you know, that's the thing, because like it's all about life choices, man, and it helps develop, and it's develop a kingdom, and it develop treating queens the right way, you know, how to treat people, the importance of your personal relationship, of who to marry. You know, all those type of things are all of, because they affect you in the long run, and they affect your outlook, they affect your thought process, and they affect your behavior. You know, so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. Another thing that we're going to talk about, how to maintain success. You know, a lot of people aspire to have success, but it's a lot harder to maintain. And again, you have to eliminate everybody that grow with you can't go with you.
That's right.
Everybody that grow with you can't go with you. So, and that's hard for people to do. You know, when you have dialogues and real examples, that's why the circle is small and all those things. So those are just a few how to manage stress. Because everybody has a form of stress. But how do you deal with it and not let that overwhelm you in your daily life? Because you can have daily stresses from a lot of different things, and it overtakes people, and guess what it does? And it steals the obstacles and stress. It steals people of their dreams. You know, and we got to find a way to give you the encouragement to push through when you have a setback. A setback just setting you up for a comeback. So we got to get them ready to have that mentality to approach life.
Tim, we're going to go to our final break here in just a minute, but before we go to that break, I want you to expound on the fact that I just can't, the A.J. Bowie, who's a very wealthy, very talented young defensive back, you coach him, and you have been with him for a few months, but yet still, this young man up here in Atlanta, Georgia, right outside Atlanta, Tucker, found it in his heart to come down because you asked him to. No cash, no gas. He came down because he cared enough about you to support you and what you were doing. Talk to me a little bit about that relationship.
The relationship is phenomenal. Because what we do is, the first thing as we talk and get to know him, I want to get to know you as the man, and you need to get to know me as the man. Not me as the coach and you as the player. That part will take place on the field of play. You need to know who I am as a family man. You need to know my wife. You need to know my kids. I need to know your fiance. I need to know your kids. I need to know your parents. Because now when we start talking, you know I care about you as the person. And if we develop the mind and get you as a person, we'll get the stuff on the field. You know? So that's what started with them. And I spend time with them. You know, that's what people don't realize. Like, I spend way more time with him off the field than on the field. You know what I mean? We talk about 3 days a week. We text about every other day. So it's maybe 2 days a week that we may not be having some form of communication. Because I send him motivation, like all that stuff you saw me the other day, he's heard it. Because we talk about Eric Thomas. We're gonna find like people, and we're gonna what? Eric Thomas gotta help me up. We're gonna share information on the videos to do that to help us.
I tell you what, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back for the final segment, Tim, because this is a special day. Hey, you're listening to WRCG 92.1. This is the Sports Business Radio Show.
Cream. Get some pictures of them with Nate.
This radio show, this is the final segment of today's show, and I tell you, man, time has flown by. Of course, a special day in every sense of the word. Tim Walton Stay Ready Foundation's Professional Growth Development and Leadership Seminar has come to a close, and of course, we're down to the last segment of the show, the last 5-6 minutes of the show. And Tim, obviously, again, this is a victory for you. Great day.
Yeah, man, I'm pleased with it. I'm glad we're able to get back to the community, glad to support. Like I said, we'll keep it growing and keep it going. The more people we can get to come out, the more people we can reach.
In closing the show out, and obviously we got to turn it over to the Queen deal. You know, the Queen does a great job. She actually has the show after we go off the air, and of course, she's a legend. She's legendary around these parts, Tim. But your takeaway from from now that you have completed the day, and you know, I know it's only been a few minutes, but it's almost like being in the locker room after the game is over, and to reflect back on that victory. Talk to us a little bit about how you're feeling and what you think.
Well, I feel real good about it, and now I even get a better sense of some of the stuff we need to do, because we did the panel and we got some question and answer stuff done with the community, with the crowd, with the audience. So now, even next year, that helps me, because you know, when you start dealing with life, there's a lot of topics you can cover, you know, and bridging the gap between the millennials and the older generation, to bridge that gap and how we need to go about things. So it put me in a good spot of knowing what topics to go forward with, knowing what issues we need to address, and then to try to get people out of the seat to do it. Because the thing is, you want to address the issues that the people in the community see fit that needs to be, you know, help them grow.
You closed out with the panel, but what question from the audience that stands out in your mind right now?
Well, the part on getting kids in this forum. You know, so next year, you know, we may try to get some college kids in the area, some high school kids in the area, and then I'll probably end up trying to expound something in the youth, you know what I mean, to try to reach them, because that's the concern of the community. You mean reaching the kids at an early age and get them, and then, you know, we may have to get it set in the back and on top. We may have to have that platform up there. Hey, some of the kids that need to see it, and they need to sit up there in that area and start to hear some of these things by people that they know, because it would have been good for them to see an AJ Boye, you know, a guy like that they gonna watch on TV and respect, you know what I mean, or other people of the community that they can identify with.
I think really that would be big, Tim, because really you could take the upcoming seniors, all of them have to do their community service hours at the end of the year, so that would be great to include them in. But really I think what you want to do, you have a great plan, stick to your plan, work from professional development to next year doing personal development. Right. And I think really the crowd will continue to get more diverse, because one of the biggest things about it, man, that women piece today, that was real big.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, obviously, you want to take a few minutes here to talk about this upcoming season and your schedule, obviously, because you just have a short period of time, a short window actually to enjoy yourself and your family, and then you get back to work. Why don't you expound on how that process works out?
Well, I have about 4 weeks. And then I'll be back at it. You know, July 19th, we start back up. So I have a short, today's June 20th. You know what I mean?
Wow.
4 weeks, man, and it's back on. It's going to go fast. And when I go down, I mean, it's head on the water to February. You know, you get one break for a bye week for about 3-4 days, and that's it. You know, so, you know, it's a long season. It's a grind. So I'll take these next few weeks, and it'll be a relaxation time to get I'll spend time with the family. To get ready to get into the season, and we're very optimistic about the season. Like I said, I have a couple of really good players in the secondary. We got a quarterback now, so we're looking forward to getting this thing back on the right track, and it's close to home, man. So, you know, hopefully the crowd can get into it a little bit more, support the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, you know, Tim, you know, you've always been passionate and excited each time football season starts, but you kind of like got an edge on, like you really are excited about this year.
Yeah, because, you know, they had a down year last year. People kind of count us out a little bit. I got some good players. I got some men of character, and they different. They all cut different. You know, Jalen Ramsey, one of the best in the game, and he's cut from a different mold. AJ Boye, he's a different mold on the count. You know, we got DJ Hayden, and then we also have a guy like Ronnie Harrison that played right over there in Alabama. You know what I mean? Guys that's a beast. That's an upcoming gonna be an upcoming superstar. Keep your eye on him. We got guys like Jared Wilson, who's just like AJ, man. the most respectful, mature guy you can be around. So when you're around the right people and you got the right mix, you got the work ethic guys, you got the guys of character, and you got a couple dogs in there, you know. And
You ready to hunt?
You got to hunt. You know, 20 ready to hunt.
I'm gonna bring it full circle, Tim. You made it a point to have your kids here. Your parents are here. Talk to us about family and, of course, how they, how they are involved with you, what you do.
It's important. As you know, my mom, my dad is heavily involved with this area. My mom kind of helps run the thing for me with a lot of stuff. My youngest son and my daughter, Tyler, Tamia, that's here. My oldest son, Trey, couldn't make it, and my wife, Tracy, couldn't make it. We're in the process of moving this weekend,
Yes.
So she's in Jacksonville now trying to handle the move. That's the life of a coach's wife. You know? So she couldn't be at our function today that was family, that we built with family, that to be down there moving. So, that's why I much respect and love her for the things that she do to help that, because they have to make a big sacrifice.
You know what? Lastly, again, hopefully we have enough time, Nick. I don't know, but I got to get this in. We got 1 minute to talk about the transition. What is this like for an NFL coach to leave one area and then transition into another area just in 1 year?
It's hard, man, but that's why the mindset has to be strong, because that's part of the game. That's the nature of the beast. That's something you have to adjust and adapt to. So I make sure I get my mindset for that, because guess what? It's inevitable. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? So I have to get my mind right for it to make the transition smooth.
All right, Tim, we appreciate you, man. Keep up the great work. And again, man, you are doing big things in this community. And you know what? It's not going to be forgotten.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you and Dale helping me on, man. It's an outstanding show, it's an outstanding platform, man, and hopefully we can continue the success with it.
All right, that's going to do it for all the sports we have for today. For Dale Williams and, of course, Coach Tim Walton, I'm DJ Jones reminding you to keep your eye on the ball.